Welcome to Loving Life, a guide to a positive mindset. I'm your host, Lisa. I'm a mindset and energy coach, and each week you'll discover mindset shifts, energy practices, and real life tools to help you feel more confident, calm, and in flow, because you deserve to love the life you're creating. I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's get going on today's episode. Hello and welcome back to Loving Life. I want to paint a little picture for you, and you might recognise a pattern here because I'm pretty sure I've said this to you before. But in less than 24 hours, I am going to Morocco with some friends. Now, I know for a fact that at least two of the others have packed already. I say already, we're less than 24 hours away. I am sat here doing my podcast. This afternoon, I need to go to the shop to exchange some money to take with me. And my suitcase is still under the bed, as if we're not going anywhere. That's not true, actually, because I did just get it out about an hour ago. And I used to ask myself, why am I like this? Like, why do I leave things to the last minute? I need to be more organised. This is what we're going to talk about today. Before we go into that, as always, let's have a look and see which city had the most amount of downloads last week. And the place with the most amount of downloads was Bristol. And the second place, just underneath, was Phoenix in Arizona. So thank you for your support wherever you are. It would mean so much if you could just take 2 minutes out of your time to rate, subscribe, and leave me a review. If you listen on Apple, as 95% of you do, then leaving me a review is literally the best way you can possibly help my podcast grow. Apart from telling other people, telling all your friends about it. So whatever you can do, spend 2 minutes to help me share the podcast. That would be amazing. Okay, so going back to my little conundrum. Like I said, I used to ask myself, why am I like this? Like, why do I leave everything to the last minute? Because this is not an uncommon thing. I don't think I've ever packed like more than 48 hours ahead of going away, ever. I've had friends in the past who have been packing, who've packed a week before, and like some people buy Christmas presents and have had them all wrapped by like the beginning of December. I'm like, what the fuck? It's just not me. Why am I like this? I need to be more organised. This is such a common assumption. Like we think, and if you are one of these with me, if you think I must be disorganised, I must be lazy, I should be better at this, I should be more proactive, I should be doing better, other people don't do this. But here is what I've actually done a lot of research on this. And here's what I've come to realise. It's not a motivation problem. It's not actually a procrastination problem. I have always assumed that I procrastinate. But actually, here is what is actually happening. When you imagine doing something vividly, many of the same neural networks, pathways activate as when you physically do it. So, for example, when we plan something vividly, what do I mean? Like planning your outfits. I know exactly what outfits I'm going to be taking away with me. When we mentally rehearse steps that we're going to take or actions that we're going to take. When we organise things in our heads. When we are going on a journey and we are imagining each step of the journey, your brain gets a little dopamine task completed tick. So it feels like you're done. So the urgency drops. And this isn't because you are lazy. It's because your brain thinks, okay, task handled. I've done enough for now. It's like ticking the box in pencil instead of pen. If you are in the other camp and you're thinking, well, no, of course I've packed my suitcase a week ahead, then that's fair enough. However, there are people who experience it more strongly. So people who are like what I would call right brain thinkers. So like you're imaginative, you're highly imaginative, creatives, visual thinkers, like emotional, sensitive, living in their heads, and people carrying lots of mental load. And I expect a lot of you are nodding to that. So if you are a mum, or if you are a business owner, or if you work in corporate, you're probably handling lots of mental load. And you're probably living in your head a lot and probably thinking things through deeply, emotionally preparing for things, future planning. So the task in your brain feels handled, even though it isn't physically started yet. Sometimes it is a form of protection. So what I mean by that, for example, is like if you only give yourself 30 minutes to pack, as an example, 30 minutes to do a task, it means you can't overthink it. It means you can't be perfect. It means that you just get on with it. It bypasses perfection. Sometimes this is the case with me. Like sometimes last minute me is like no nonsense me. She just gets on with it. And actually, when I think about it, I do this lots in my life. And I know I've mentioned this before on the podcast, like me and Craig always joke that we work best under pressure. But actually looking into it more, I now know the reason why, and I know why I do this. And just knowing that makes me feel so much better. I am organised. So like, because I always used to have this thing like, oh, people have this perception of me that I'm really organised, where I'm not. I leave things to the last minute. Just because I leave things to the last minute doesn't necessarily mean I'm not organised, because I've already done the organising in my head, you know. But I do this a lot. And actually, sometimes, I say sometimes, always, it's actually better for me to leave things to the last minute, especially when it comes to things like my podcast and planning my sessions that I do in the inner circle. So because I often feel like if I've planned a podcast too much, or if I've thought about it too much in my head, like I already feel like I've said that, you know? And then like when I'm actually having the conversation, when I'm recording the podcast, it just doesn't come across in the same way, because in my head, I'm like, well, I've already had that conversation. And it's the same with the sessions that I plan. Like if I'm too, like obviously I always have an idea, like I know what each of the monthly sessions is going to be on 7 months in advance, because each month is based on the chakras. So we start off with the root and then work our way. So yeah, I always know roughly what the theme is going to be. But I don't actually plan like the journaling questions that I'm going to use, the tools that I'm going to give my members. I don't actually plan that until like the day before, because I'm then in it. Do you know what I mean? If I plan it too far in advance, I'm like, I'm not as engaged in it. So yeah, it's not because I don't care. It's not because I can't be bothered to plan things or plan it. It's because I care so much. I've actually already lived it in my head 100 times. I'm like with my podcast, if I plan it too far in advance, I've lived it in my head 100 times, which means then when I'm actually recording it, it's like having a conversation with your granny. I actually really love having a conversation with my nan, so that means nothing. But you know what I mean. So yeah, I guess this is just giving you permission. If you are like me, if you resonate with what I'm talking about today, I guess this is just giving you permission to like go a bit easier on yourself. And what you could do is, rather than feeling annoyed that you haven't packed a week in advance, just get your suitcase out a week in advance, or 3 or 4 days in advance. And that moves it from like being in your head to in your hands. And then you are more likely to make a start. I don't know. But it's okay if you don't make a start. Like you don't have to finish it. Just maybe start it. Whatever it is you find you leave to the last minute. You don't have to finish it. Just start it. It's like giving your nervous system proof that it's real. And if I bring it back to me, like future Lisa doesn't need a perfect plan. She just needs past Lisa to maybe unzip the suitcase. So here's a little reframe for you. If you've resonated with this today, maybe you're not someone who leaves things to the last minute. Maybe you're someone whose mind runs through things ahead of her body. Maybe you're someone who thinks deeply and imagines vividly. And sometimes, maybe you just need a little nudge back to the present moment. So if this is you, try one small action today. Getting the suitcase out, opening up your notes app, writing that first line. And we're all going to be different on this because some of you are going to be thinking, oh my God, I could never leave things to the last minute. And that's okay too. What is important to recognize is what works for you. Like, I always leave things to the last minute, in inverted commas, but actually I always get things done on time. Like, if I say I'm going to have something done by 2:00, it will be done by 2:00, sometimes 1:59. And that's the great thing about, listening to podcasts like this, doing the mindset work, doing the self-development work. You become more self-aware. Like, it's literally taken me 43 years, nearly 44. It's taken me this long to realise exactly why I do it. I just always, me and Craig just always joke, we work best under pressure. Like, yes, that is true, but there is a reason why. And actually, it's not putting pressure on myself. It's actually easing the pressure. So I've got some journaling questions if you want to explore this a little bit more. Where in my life do I mentally complete things before I start them? What emotion am I avoiding by not starting earlier? You might not be avoiding emotion, but it's something to explore. What is one tiny physical step I can take today? Not mental step, because we all do that. What's one physical step I could take today? And then finally, what would starting gently feel like instead of starting perfectly or finishing perfectly? So I'll put these in the show notes for you to spend a little bit of time on if this episode has resonated in any way. Okay, I am going to crack on now. Before I go, I just want to remind you that you've got 1 week left to sign up for Flow and Flourish. And it's basically a goal-setting workshop without the hustle, taking into consideration the different energies of the different seasons and working with them instead of working against them. So if you want to join me, that is on Zoom on the 15th of February at 3 p.m. UK time. The link for that is in the show notes. I hope to see some of you there. And wish me luck in Morocco. I will hopefully come back with lots of goodies. I'm taking a massive suitcase so as I can come back with lots of goodies. So wish me luck with my haggling. Right, I will see you next week, guys. Sending you so much love. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could take a moment to subscribe, rate, and if you're listening on Apple, as 95% of you do, review. It really helps the podcast reach more people who are ready to shift their mindset and raise their vibration. And if you know someone who would benefit from today's episode, feel free to share it with them. Until next time, keep loving life and know that I'm sending you so much love.